While we're waiting for everyone to join, I'm just going to very quickly show our um, video, which we organised when we first launched the Travel Hub Collection brand. You'll see on the screen we've got three brands. So the Africa Hub may be the one that you recognise the most. Then you've got the Indian Ocean Hub, which is our secondary brand. So what we did is moved our Maldivian and Indian Ocean Islands into their own website. And then we launched the Travel Hub Collection. So bear with me. If that beat's not stuck in your head forever. Welcome to the Travel Hub Collection. If you don't know who I am, that's okay. I am Sammy and I head things up here. I'm usually the face of our webinars, but Laura also jumps on. We've got an amazing team here and really, really happy to say that we are a multi-award winning training platform. So just don't trust us or our partners. We have got these stamps to prove it. So we are so delighted by this. 2024 has been an incredible year for us. And we've also recently been nominated for another award with Lux Life for next year. So yeah, we are working very hard, but it's obviously down to you guys also engaging with what we're doing. So who are the Travel Hub Collection? We are a destination training platform, at least that's where we started. But we have grown to be so much more than that. Our content is expert led. So we have an amazing array of destination experts who live and breathe their destinations, mostly living in them. But they give us up-to-date info throughout the year that we then share with you to make sure that you know what you're talking about, but also so that you know that the content that we're sharing with you is accurate, it's up to date, and it is stuff that you will want to know and share with your team. So obviously, this being a webinar on starters and onboarding, you will also learn how to navigate the site if you are new to that. Boring stats, blah, but we have got an amazing following, nearly 6,000 agents from around the world, 100 countries using the site. And it is incredible to see that we are growing around 50 new agents accessing the site every month. Those of you who are diehards will remember that at the beginning of our journey in 2021, we used to charge for access to the site. We have since removed access and we are getting just an overwhelming number of people register. So do keep sharing that link with people as well so that you can yeah, share the site with your colleagues. So yeah, there you go, bit of stats. Delighted that this is growing and really useful. So let's get down to it. This webinar is for everybody. The site is for everybody, whether you are in sales, whether you are in marketing, whether you're the vital operations and reservations team, if you are front end and you're working with those client relationships, if you're doing the product management stuff, obviously, that's also critical, and I'll show you that. If you're management, if you're a newbie, and also for those of you who aren't in a tour operator or travel agent business, don't worry because the site is here for you as a product as well. I will show you how your teams, if you are an accommodation provider or otherwise, you can also use the site to your benefit. Access is free. Like I said, if you didn't get that and you're not registered with us, it is completely free. Let me go ahead and show you how you can do that. Okay, cool. So this is the Travel Hub collection. This is where you'll be entering all of our amazing content. These are the upcoming hubs. We're not just going to stick with Africa and the Indian Ocean. The Middle East is a little bit precarious at the moment. I am nearly ready to launch it, but we're also a little bit nervous about the situation out there. So we may be flipping that with Latin America. But anyway, we're going through all these amazing destinations, and the premise will be the same. You'll have destination experts on the ground teaching you how to do these amazing jobs and sell to your discerning clients. So here you'll also see our upcoming webinars and any new product that's listed on the site and destinations as well. But I know that you'll want to, first of all, learn how to register. So head over to the register button. We do have a lot of our agents who have this as part of their training manual. It's great. It's easy to access. You just have to pick whichever product or whatever person you identify with as the most, and then you'll have some questions that you need to fill in. And it's very quick, very painless, and then you'll get immediate access to the site. The reason we ask so many questions, which may be a question on your lips, is because we want to make sure that as we grow and develop, we want to be giving you the right content and updating you on the right things so that we're not spamming you. So anyway, let's go ahead and log in. One login will give you access to all three sites. Those of you who know us from the old days when we just had the Africa Hub URL, we have actually now got three URLs. We had to launch a brand new website to accommodate the amount of content that we have on the site. We have over 100 hours of training on the site, plus, and you'll see that in a moment. So the access is through the Travel Hub collection. This is all going to be very top generic company-wide stuff, but then through here you can navigate to either the Africa Hub or the Indian Ocean Hub. And then as the future hubs come on, again, you can access them here as well. So if we go through and check out the Africa Hub, you'll automatically gain access to that site. If you land on the Africa Hub and you're not logged in, don't worry, you'll get a prompt and it's just the same details as the Travel Hub collection. Let me know if you have any issues with that. Cool. So if we go to our destinations page, this is where you'll find all of the destinations that we have training on. So we've got 28 destinations across Africa and the Indian Ocean, not just for your entry-level safari stuff, but also for your more complicated destinations like Chad, Sierra Leone. We've got Republic of Congo on here as well, Sudan. So we are really trying to make sure that no matter where you come into a business at, if your knowledge is just based in one destination or you are a specialist and you just wanted to top up on some of those more bespoke and unique destinations on the continent, then you have access to it. So really the site is for everyone. It doesn't matter whether you are brand new to the industry or if you are a specialist. So if we go into South Africa, for example, all of the destination pages are laid out the same, so it's easy to navigate, and hopefully you'll see that with what I show you. So on the left-hand side here, you've got your webinars. For your new starters who have never sold anything to do with Africa or the Indian Ocean before, I really recommend that you get them to log in and check out the webinars. This is like an hour long of training, so obviously interspersing it in between all of the other bits and bobs that you'll be teaching them. Don't worry, there's a full hour and then you've got bite-sized sections. So you can actually just jump in and deep dive into certain elements. If you're not selling particular areas of a country, you can also then just say, look, just check out this one particular area of South Africa, don't do the rest. It really is that easy for you to navigate and actually be bespoke in terms of your training that you're giving to your teams. So like I say, on the right-hand side here, you've got all of those bite-sized sections. What I really want to highlight, South Africa is quite a unique destination. There is a lot of content. I think that we've got roughly 4.5 hours of content alone for South Africa, all listed on the right-hand side here. In webinars that I really want to draw your attention to, specifically if you're bringing on, for example, a new product manager into your teams, we do these regular country updates. Our destination experts pile together onto a Zoom session with me, and then in 5 minutes, they give you updates on access into those countries, new product launches, any new refurbs you might need to know about, new experiences that you can book for your clients. And don't worry, none of this is talking about who they are and what they are. they're not selling to you, they're just giving you factual information about these destinations. So it's a bit like a replacement for the tourism boards, but particularly aimed at the private sector. So the country updates, fantastic for when you're onboarding new product, but or product managers, but also I really highly recommend this for anybody that is new to sales, who you just want to get up to speed in terms of product that they could potentially be pushing. The country update is really worthwhile checking out. There is another place on the site that you can access this, and I'll show you that in a sec. The 15-minute focus is also a really great one. So obviously, bearing in mind the amount of time that you're going to take training your teams, you can either plunk them in front of the computer and get them to watch all 1 million hours, or you can say, great, just watch the 15-minute focus, because that will give you an overview in 15 minutes about the USPs for a destination, the key access into the country, and also all of the primary regions that you would potentially be selling to your leisure travelers. So the 15-minute focus is also really worthwhile. You will also see our elevated pitch, really useful again for those new into your sales teams, those who are starting out into selling new destinations that they aren't familiar with or haven't been to before. The elevator pitch that we did in October, really useful for you to know the key USPs to help you get that client across the line and make it sound like you know what you're talking about, get them hooked from the outset so that you're kind of pushing away the competition. So that's all there for you as well. Then in the resources section, this is great for new starters who, again, are either familiar with the destination or are starting out from scratch. Because what we've done here is we've put sample itineraries. They're a bit like your bread and butter for a destination. So the most common itineraries that you're going to find people asking for, and then your fact sheets. So they are PDFs. All you have to do is click and you can go ahead and download them. They're Africa Hub branded or Indian Ocean Hub branded. But basically what they do is they give you an overview of a great itinerary, the different regions that you might want to combine together, the highlights, when to go. You've got maps, and then you've got a day-by-day itinerary. These do have product in them. We are going to be migrating to less product-faced because, of course, depending on where you are in the world, you're going to have a different client and they're going to want different product. But the premise is the same. You're going to be combining certain areas, and that is really useful for you to know and for your teams to know. So you've got 3 sample itineraries per destination. Again, we are going to be adding more. We're a little team, but we are mighty. And then our fact sheets. So again, with that new starter who doesn't know anything about the country, here you've got your facts, what it's known for, who it's for, access, when to go, and then a snapshot of all the different destinations that you might be selling within the country. But rather than it being fluffy sales talk, Google can do that for us. We want it to be factual stuff that will really help you to understand and navigate the country. So that's what you'll find in the fact sheets. The map section, please bear with us. Some have more than others. However, if there's something that you need specifically, please let us know. But these are all easy for you to access and have a squiz at. Some, like I say, have products listed as well. Some don't. But we are working on migrating that into something exciting. So watch this. The marketing toolbox. So great. If you've got a new marketing person on your team who is struggling to understand how to sell Africa or the Indian Ocean on your platforms, this is a really great way for you to get them to feel involved and start getting some inspiration on how to navigate the social media platforms or even just general marketing. So what we've got here is our social media toolbox. This originally started out when, during COVID, which is when we launched, a lot of people ended up losing their jobs and then moving into doing things on their own. Huge kudos to you guys. But here what we've done is a PDF that you can download that effectively showcases 12 social media captions already written for you. Let me see if I can't make that bigger. Open. There we go. So you've got suggested destination hashtags, tourism board ads to get that broader visibility, and also those captions already written for you. But again, it's an inspiration tool. Feel free, if you're at a pinch, those new starters can go ahead and just quickly copy paste. And then what we've done is we've also included the credit for the image so that you know who to credit. You're not going to be breaking any of those those image sharing rules. And then to make your lives even easier, you can click on the image and it goes off to a Dropbox that has those images resized for social media. So we've tried to make it as easy as possible. But again, for your marketing individuals, your newbies that are coming on, it might be a great starting point just to help them to understand how to market the destination and get some inspiration. Then we've got our gallery. These links all go off to various different sites. It's either a tourism board or it's been a folder that's been given to us by our destination experts. Please just credit where it's come from. If it's not obvious, I mean, this is obvious, it's South Africa Tourism, but in cases where it might be a Dropbox that has come from our tours, from our partners on the ground, we will have a credit folder so that you know exactly who to credit and where you can make sure that you're doing due diligence. The when to go tab, again, really fantastic for your starters who don't know anything about the destination. Sales, again, if they want to just understand what's happening on the ground in terms of weather. Again, we are going to be updating this to make it more regional specific. However, in the meantime, you've got that overall thumbs up. So what's the travel experience going to be like? What's happening with the game? What's going on with the birds? I'm a birder. You can see the seasonal ratings, the temperatures, you've got the rainfall. So it really gives you a very easy top level understanding of, okay, with the seasonal rating, I mean, August is amazing. South Africa is just an amazing destination, full stop. But anyway, you can kind of see in one fell swoop what you're going to be dealing with if someone inquires. The sponsored spotlights were a bit of a first foray when we first started into showcasing particular products that you might want to start selling in that country. I will show you the accommodation hub in a second, but if you are looking for a few sample products that you might want to start looking at, again, this is a great place to start. But I think for new starters, it might be better that you tailor specifically for your sales teams and your product teams, you actually tailor the product selections, and I'll show you how to do that. The Activities Hub and DMC Hub, Tourism Hub, Airline Hub, they're all brand new to us. So where we have listings for those, they also are on the destination pages. Accommodation will be here soon. We just have over 500 that we need to try and link. So bear with us. Hopefully in the new year that'll be coming. But for now, we've got all the sub hubs, we call them, listed on those destination pages. So if you were looking for activities to sell in South Africa, for example, you could go ahead and click on one of these and you'll have that full listing so that you can learn how to sell it. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. I will show you those in a second. But anyway, that is the destination pages. They are pretty comprehensive. Like I say, really great for your new starters that don't know how to sell the country, or indeed for those guys who may just need a bit of a reminder on particular areas if they haven't been in a while. Great. Next up, I'm going to show you our sales support section. This is really, really useful and something that if I was training my teams, I would get them straight into as part of their first week. We have themed webinars on this page. So again, it's on sales and marketing support, and you go to the sales support page. All of my themed webinars are on here. These are hour-long training sessions that are dedicated on a particular theme. The exception to that is my activities week. Again, I'll show you in a sec. But the idea here is that you do a deep dive into a topic. The one that I would really recommend for brand new individuals who are starting to sell or market Africa is your how and why to sell Africa. We are going to try and do this for the Indian Ocean as well. Again, just bear with. But on these pages, what you've got is a very similar look and feel as the destination pages. So you head over to the webinar section, but here you've got the bite-sized section. So how to sell Africa, how to sell Southern Africa versus East Africa. Why would you even sell Africa? Those commissions are a little bit better than Europe. So in my opinion, the Africa and Indian Ocean teams are winning. But anyway, there you go. Within this page, you've also got maps. And then in our resources section, like I say, this is a really good one to start people off with. You've got blogs, podcasts, and books. These are all in our inspiration corner as well. But if I quickly show you them here now, then you can see what I'm talking about in terms of getting them excited about selling the continent. So in our blogs, they are very general, very sort of overview, but really useful, again, for your marketing teams, potentially to pick up some ideas to start pushing out new ways to market destinations. It could be for inspiration on reasons to visit a destination, for example, like this one that we've got from Sammy Ground Handlers. Or it could be, honeymoon tips. There's a whole bunch of really cool stuff in here. So worthwhile having a squiz as a newbie. And then the book section, these are book recommendations, serious stuff as well as, fun stuff like Peter Allison's Whatever You Do, Don't Run. Highly recommend this book, by the way. He does some really stupid stuff and it's hilarious. But yeah, there's some really cool stuff. Again, it's just to get you excited about how to about selling the destination and getting into the industry. Then you've got your podcasts again, travel. They may be coming from a background that is not travel based. This is a podcast section where you can learn about just general travel inspiration as well as Africa-centric stories. So really great again for those newbies who are completely fresh when it comes to the industry or indeed to Africa travel. Cool. So here we've also got a list of experts if you were so inclined to find some in those destinations. Great. So if we go back to our sales support section, I will highlight a few other really useful themed webinars that I think your teams need to be sitting in front of. The activities week, we did it was quite hectic, but it was also really incredible because over the course of a week, we highlighted all the different activities that you can do in 10 minutes, USPs, who should do it and who shouldn't do it, any potential prices you might need to consider, all of that good stuff, but in templated format so you can understand what is coming on each one. So game drives, fly camping, if you've never done walking safaris, hot air balloons. I mean, these experiences are not things that we're all of us privileged to be able to have done, but if you're selling it to a client, can be a bit tricky. So we've done a whole deep dive hiking Kili, horse riding, camel riding, Makoroing. Also really great for your new starters who need to see just how expansive Africa is and the Indian Ocean, the kind of things that you can do. Again, we've got maps which are not pulling through right now, but you've got some really great sponsored spotlights as well that kind of highlight some of those things. The country catch up, this is where I said to you that we have those new product updates that we regularly do. The last one was in the summer. We're going to try and get one done in January. This is where you'll find those 5-minute recordings. So that's the main recording, and then down here you've got all of the countries. So feel free to check into that again for new product people, new salespeople. Really good to understand that. And then if I go back, we have themed webinars like family travel and how to offer trips to someone in a wheelchair. It is possible. We had amazing guest speakers on that guy. Gorilla trekking, if you've not been able to do it, I haven't, but Laura has, and she doesn't stop talking about how amazing it was. This was really cool, actually, because we did an overview of gorilla trekking in Rwanda, in Uganda, and also in the Republic of Congo, and explaining the differences between the three. So the webinar is here again, the main webinar with the bite-sized sections. We've got maps. In the resources section, this is where we've added a little bit of extra content. And this is where you'll find those little nuggets of extra things that we've kind of included, but I can't go through all of them today with you. So a comparison of gorilla habitats. Really cool, giving you an overview as well of the permit costs, how many people that you've got in a group. So this is great because you can then see, okay, fine. So with this particular guest, what would I potentially be doing with them and what would be best for them? Within this as well, we've got trekking FAQs, social media downloadable toolbox, packing lists. Love a packing list. So yeah, there's lots of additional stuff in the resources tab. And again, you've got that sponsored spotlight for potential places that you could book for your guests. Kosher travel, again, a minefield for those of you who don't know what it is. I didn't. It's incredible, the detail that we've gone into, including all the signs, the things you need to consider about, traveling on a Saturday. Very, very cool. Gay travel, some of you may feel like this is a topic you may not want to touch because it is illegal in many African countries to travel and be known to be gay, which is ridiculous in my opinion. So you've got a deep dive on how to approach that. Key questions that you should be asking your clients, key questions you should be asking your product providers. Under our resources section, we've got a link to the ILGA World Maps that has a heat map. So if you do want to understand where in the world it is difficult, we can say, you'll get an overview of that. So like I say, lots of additional resources. In our tools section, we've got some key links you may want to look at. Sales and marketing, we've got some really cool marketing initiatives there for you. So very, very holistic in our approach to our training. Have a look and see what we've got on here. Again, introduction to the Great Migration, another phenomenon for your newbies who are starting to sell East Africa. I want to go to see the Great Migration. Great. What time of year? Well, when is it? So this is great because it does an overview of the migration in Kenya, an overview of the migration in Tanzania. We even had a piece from Alex Walker doing a live from the migration, so you can see it was a bit David Attenborough-esque, where you could see just how noisy these herds are and what your guests will experience when they're out there. So really useful again in terms of our maps. We've even got a map, but it's a whole map that does a walk around of all the places that the herds will be at certain times of the year. Very useful. So if you get that inquiry and the client can only travel in March, what's happening and where should you send them for them to see those big herds? Resources again, you've got sample itineraries, all those good things. So the themed webinars section, so it's under our sales tools, really useful for those guys. So your sales, marketing, and product. We also have a webinar on sustainability in travel. If this is something that you're interested in as an individual, if you're onboarding someone who's going to be focusing on sustainability, really worthwhile checking this out. We had some great chats from Long Ron, B Corps, Weaver, Conscious Travel Foundation. We've got additional resources, including links to really useful spaces for you to learn more about sustainability. We did deep dives into certain areas, but that all lives also on the destination pages. Um, Focus on South African safaris, really cool. So many of you will know, or maybe you don't, but the safaris in South Africa are so accessible because South Africa has an amazing infrastructure network. So what we had is our specialists go into that in detail, all the different parks you can go to, why you would go to them, key things to consider, the game that you're going to be experiencing. So if you are looking at a safari in South Africa, we did do a deep dive. Cool. So now I'm going to show you our accommodation hub. So this is really useful for any of you guys who are starting out and you're training a newbie and you want to showcase the different products that you as a company sell. It could be really useful as well for properties who may want to see what the competition are doing. Or indeed when you're in sales and representation and you have a property that you are selling in an area but want to know what else is out there, a really good way for you to know what is out there and what you could be comparing it to if you've not had the chance to go yet. So this is basically my baby. I'm very proud of it. So my background is tour operation. I set up the Africa department at Jakarta Travel way back when I was the eighth employee. But one of the things that I found is that there is just so much incredible content out there, and I would always forget. God, which one has interconnecting rooms and oh, does it have aircon because it's going to be bloody hot? And it's really great when you're working in a team and you're sitting next to people who may have that knowledge or experience. But these days, it's so much more difficult to know. So I've created a bespoke filter that allows you to look for product based on certain criteria. So again, highlight and bookmark all the products that you work with and get your starters to deep dive. But again, as a sales team, really useful. You can look at country, region, type of travel. So if you're looking for a specific family-friendly trip, honeymoons, weddings, you name it, we've kind of really gone to town with it. Board basis, this is really useful for your Indian Ocean products. Are you going to be booking a place that's all inclusive, or do you have to navigate it so your client knows that they're only going to be getting breakfast and there will be additional costs at the end of their trip? From price per person per night. Facilities I've done into general and also into rooms. So if you have that crazy person who loves a gym like my now fiance, hee hee, then you can literally find properties that have got dedicated gyms. Do they have dedicated kids clubs? You can make sure your kids are looked after if you want to go on a game drive. Do you have game hides? Do you have house reefs? Do you have specialist photographic resources? We've really tried to hone in on all of those resources and all of those elements of a property that your clients may be requesting, but you have a bit of a brain fart and think, God, I can't remember. We've also done the same thing for rooms. So again, does it have aircon? Does it have an exclusive use villa? Let's see, does it have a room with a bath? I love a bath. Then we've done activities. So again, it's a minefield. Which properties in Kenya and Tanzania have access to hot air balloons? You can tick that box. Big five, really big for some markets, a really big thing for some clients. Can you do community visits? Your cyclists, fly camping, kayaking, night game drives versus day drives. Some of my really, really cool filters, which might be useful for some of you when you're honing in on product to pick, is do they do private game drives as standard? So you're not going to be creating an itinerary where you do a private game drive, like Swallow, beautiful property, and then you go somewhere where you're potentially going to be with other guests. That just changes the dynamic completely. So this really helps for you to find those properties. Water-based activities as well. And then crucially, your sustainability credentials. So you've got all of that to filter with. I also really highly recommend that you use the full property list. So as I say, we've got over 500 properties on both sites. So please do check this out. You can filter literally by the country, but then it's much easier to see what we've got and what we don't have. So if we look at Botswana, for example, you can see the list goes on, and all you need to do is select your listing type. So let's just have a squiz. Zim as well. I think some are a little bit less populated, but please do let us know if you've got any potential product partners that you want us to be listing, and we can go ahead and do that for you. Anyway, so these listings are not just marketing opportunities for the product. They are training spaces for you to learn how to sell these properties if you've not had the opportunity to go. So, for example, if you're on the phone to a client or if you're looking for a product that you can potentially put forward, you've got your insider tips. This really helps if you're on the phone, you can kind of navigate the conversation by bullshitting and being like, yeah, you know what? It's got 9 miles of private river frontage. They really, really make you sound like you know what you're talking about, even if you've never been. The closure dates, again, this is seasonal. If they are closed during the rains, for example, that will really highlight that. When the page was last reviewed by the property itself, so you know the content is up to date. I know that that is a big bugbear for a lot of product managers and sales teams out there. Is the detail up to date? You end up looking at the website, but don't worry because we're on it. Overview of the rooms, their price, ages. If you're on the phone to a client with a family, what do you need to know in terms of the minimum age requirements? A, to be at the lodge, and B, to do the activities. Part of a collection, and also any year-round offers. The testimonial section is great because again, it's third-party agents talking to you, why they love the property, how you can best sell it, any things you may need to know about, for example, if there's steps or if it's really wild. And they do allow ages of all children of all ages. You may need to be a little bit cautious that actually it's a very wild space and you may feel nervous as a parent. Training and webinars, again, full presentations. So just imagine you're at one of those trade shows, but in the comfort of your own home, probably in your PJs, like I am most of the time. But a full presentation. And again, we get the teams to update this. So you've got that there. You can get familiar with the properties as a new starter. You can actually bookmark this page. Really great for you if you're managing a new starter. You can be like, these are the guys that we sell regularly. Get familiar. So that's really useful. And then also just to help a little bit more with that onboarding, you've got the destination training because context is king. So rather than potentially, if you wanted to do it, you could get them straight onto the accommodation for sales and marketing, do the accommodation learning, but at the same time, embed the destination training at the same time because that training has basically been pulled from the main webinar. Then you've got the request training button. Again, this is for any new product managers out there, but it's a whole email, a whole thing where you have the right email address at the right time. So you're not faffing about looking and waiting for a response. Ask a question is the same thing. If you just want to say, you know, look, this is a little bit of an awkward request. I'm going to be going through your res team or my DMC, but you can then again direct it towards the right person. Within the gallery, again, great for your new marketers, great for your social media team, or indeed just to learn about the property. You've got those hero shots, and then you've got the gallery link. The majority of these go off to Wetu. If you're not familiar with Wetu, it is a online itinerary builder, really, really cool program. But they also have these beautiful iBrochures, which properties pay for, and then they put their detail in. So it's an extra level of learning specifically for your teams to really get a grip on that product. So again, you've got your gallery within there, you've got maps. And if it doesn't go off to a Wetu listing, then that gallery link will simply go to either a Dropbox or the relevant space for you to go ahead and download those high-res images. Obviously, as a product person in the sales and marketing teams, you want to be making sure that you're displaying products, which is or the images for properties that are not 20 years old. Properties renovate and refurb all the time. This is the most up-to-date stuff here. How to sell it. Gosh, isn't that great? If you've got a query, someone says, I love Matetsi, and then you go, God, I have no idea what to combine that with. We've actually got them to tell us what they work well with. So there's not going to be a drop in the itinerary. You can see here it's a complete itinerary using properties that the client will feel comfortable in. There won't be a change in service or quality, but all within the same price range as well. And these are also active links, so they go off to their respective listing on the Africa Hub as well. Sample itineraries, again, another great way for you to start new people onto learning how to combine itineraries together, not just in a destination. So 3 nights in Kenya, 3 nights Matetsi, going down to Botswana. We have maps. And then you've got the overview of the areas. So again, just another way for you to deep dive into learning about the destination. And it's all our branding. You don't need to worry about anything there. Agent information links, again, for your product teams, knowing that you've got the most up-to-date information at your fingertips is crucial. You're not going to be downloading and then having it saved on your server and then it goes out of date in 6 months' time. This is the most up-to-date information. It's a live link. So really recommend that your product teams, anyone that you're onboarding in that way, or your marketing teams know that they can access all of that information directly through the site. And one of our favorite buttons for the sales teams, especially those guys who are working on different time zones to the African and Indian Ocean continents, live availability. So if you have that inquiry for next July and you're looking at certain room categories, you can be like, we might need to just navigate this slightly differently, or you can put together an itinerary that's available based on that check availability button. Roughly 98% of product on the site have an availability button. Getting there, you've got an overview of how to get there, plus maps, so you can really understand, again, location. Geography is really difficult when you start learning about Africa and the Indian Ocean. I can attest to that. Sales and marketing material, again, a really nice way for you to learn how the properties are presenting themselves to the public, not just to the trade. One thing that you're learning is not going to be the same thing that the end user is going to enjoy. So again, another way for you to really get to grips with properties, and also if you're a competitor, really nice way for you to know what else is out there. The filters tab we're renaming to cheat sheet, as it is a cheat sheet. This is what people are using it for. When they're on the phone to a client, they can be like, okay, great. So, yeah, no, don't worry. Love Matetsi. Yes, absolutely. If you're into walking safaris, they do those. Oh, absolutely. Gosh, you like wine? Me too. They do wine tasting. So it's all there and it really does sound like you've been there, even if you haven't. And then last but not least is my contact details as well. So really great. Although many of you will be using DMCs and partners on the ground, this is a great way for you to reach out if you need to for any additional information, if you've got campaigns going on, fam trips. This is where you'll be able to reach out to exactly the right person to get what you need. So again, Accommodation Hub is our most populated part of the site. The sub hubs also exist though, don't forget them. And again, this is probably going to be for your product teams to look at rather than your sales teams, unless you've already got, again, established teams. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in our activity hub. Our activity filter is going to be and make more sense when we've got more listings, but please bear with us. We are populating as quickly as possible. But if I go ahead and check out Cape Adventure Brands, for example, these guys are awesome, but it gives you an idea of what they offer. So you've got the countries they operate, the regions they operate in, who they are. Again, when it was last updated, you've got your hero shots, testimonials, training and webinars. Again, all of the same sorts of links that you can expect and you remember from the Accommodation Hub. Galleries, sales and marketing collateral. We've included also in here a bit about being in the press because it's always useful if you want to know about activities that are available on the ground, knowing what their accolades are and the way that they're promoting themselves out there is really useful. Again, your filters so you can see all the different things that they do. So, these guys really do tick all the boxes. They've got, itineraries that are actually 10 days long. So I really highly recommend. I love them, by the way, if you can't tell. But yes, a really good overview and then contact details as well with an opportunity to submit an inquiry. But again, DMCs will be able to offer them, just liaise with them directly, and then you've got your social media. DMC Hub. Fantastic if you're launching Africa or the Indian Ocean and you're looking for a partner on the ground and you're not sure who to go to. We have an extensive list of DMCs on here. Please bear in mind that we have taken the time to get to know them, make sure that they are licensed, make sure that we have operators in our ecosystem who use them and trust them. So it's not a free for all. So you can go in here and trust that these guys will be able to deliver for your guests. But again, you've got an overview of who they are. You've got links back to their websites, any agent zones they might have, where they sell, really crucial. So that if you do want to do a full itinerary in different places and you're feeling a little bit wobbly in terms of knowing how to combine them, great for DMCs that do more than one country. Again, you've got your testimonials from other agents who know them and use them, collateral, sample itineraries, and sample quotes. Really useful because when you're looking at a new partner on the ground, what are your teams going to be looking at? How are they going to be operating? So when you're bringing on a new product person or someone who's going to be developing your offering, your destination offering, really useful to send them to the DMC hub to get them to have a look. We also have it broken down into quotes, so you can not know if you're going to be getting the net rate broken down or if you're just going to be getting one rate. Good to know. Again, this is your cheat sheet. So we've put this in, what is their insurance liability cover? Are they paying tax? These are all best questions. It's just to make sure that you know that we've done due diligence on them. Do they have a dedicated account manager for your team? How big are they? Do they have minimum night requirements? Do they accept bookings without accommodation? It could be that you've got that inquiry and, the client says, well, I'm staying with my matey. Great. We can still do the booking. Let's just try and navigate that. So that's really useful. Again, filters all the different criteria that they might fit into and contact details. Flight Hub, we are trying to populate this as quickly as possible. It's going to be really useful to understand how to combine the different destinations across the continents. I'll go into North Atlantic because we are running this competition from tomorrow, which I'm really excited about. Yes, look at that, from £630 return to Cape Town. I can't believe it. But yes, so this is a great way for you to understand where they operate. You've got route maps as well, training and sales. Again, this is directed towards the travel trade. Testimonials, you've got an overview of their aircraft, gallery, sales and marketing. This is one of my favorite tabs on the whole website. Luggage. Oh yeah. And actually, I'm going to show you my charter airline because this is a commercial listing. My charter airline is even more badass because little aircraft, as I'm sure many of you know, and if you don't, great for new starters to see. You need to have soft luggage on many of those planes. So anyway, what we've done is include that imagery as well for you and really highlighting that you're not going to be able to carry, the kitchen sink. So really useful for you to access that. And then our tourism boards as well. So we're trying to get as many of the tourism boards online as possible so that it's not just coming from the private sector and you know who to reach out to do that more destination specific campaigning. I'm just going to show you my marketing support section. This also really useful for some of your teams that may not be fitting into those particular categories. So in our social media one, this can be for your marketing teams or individuals in the company who might just want to spruce up their Instagrams. I'm not one of those people, I'm afraid. But anyway, we did a deep dive into understanding the algorithm, knowing how to make your profile pop, all the different potential apps you may want to use to create useful and interesting content. In our resources section, we even created a social media holiday calendar so you don't forget specific days like World Lion Day or World Hippo Day. You need to get on that bandwagon. We've also got a social media dictionary because I'm sure many of you do not know what these words mean. I certainly didn't. So that's there as well for any newbies who you want to try and get up to speed quickly. Social media creation tools. Again, there might be some apps in there that you might find useful if you're starting to develop your social media content. Again, these links all go off to those PDFs that I showed before with your 12 social media captions already written. That's where you can find those. If you wanted to, you could go through to the social media, but personally, I feel like navigating through the destination pages is more accurate. And then in our PR section, we actually did a deep dive into traditional print PR. So if this is a journey again that you're trying to work on, how to get in front of a journalist, um, how to write a press release, the differences between print PR for products. So, any product managers who are on here, really great for you to understand that journey as well as your tour operator journey. In our resources, we've got a downloadable, again, PR dictionary. It was actually inspired by this webinar because I was so lost. Anyway, there you go, that's there. And also within this, you've got your back to it. A Rocks Hill guide. So Rocks Hill have very generously given us some full guides to help you on your PR journey. Also, some useful tools you might want to look at. So really useful in that way. The inspiration corner, again, we've already looked at the podcasts and books and your blogs. However, really great and useful for any of your new starters to get inspired about Africa is our Travel Africa magazine collaboration. So Craig and the team there very generously have given us access for all of our members to read the magazine live on the site, which is so cool and so generous. This is their biggest ever edition, by the way. I'm so excited about actually having time to have a look at it. So please do look at that. You have access to that for free as part of your membership. And if you do want to invest in getting the print version, you can apply for a discount with Hub 10 at checkout. I think that that's a wrap, folks. I know that there's a lot of information in there, but like I say, there's a lot of different ways that you can use the site to onboard your new starters. I'm very happy to do dedicated training sessions for your teams. I know not everyone will use the site in the same way. There is a lot of content. If there's something that you think that is missing, we can always jump on that or we can indicate where it lives on the site. We are also going to be doing a strategy meeting on Tuesday, which is why the webinar is going to be on Thursday. And that's going to look at how we make the site really easy to navigate and make sure that you can get the most from it. And we will be updating you on that in the new year. Please join me next week for our Getting Ready for Peaks. I'm going to be changing the conversation a bit more around making sure that you can use those sub hubs because I think that's really where your sales teams are going to be able to maximize their sales time and minimize their faffing time. And also, I'm going to be making sure that they know where to get their support for the destinations that they might get an inquiry for but aren't familiar with. Just before I let you go, this is quite a useful one. Again, just so much content. Essence of Africa is in Nairobi this week. If you haven't seen that, it's a new trade show and it looks like it's been a phenomenal success. We did a webinar covering all the different trade shows across Africa and the Indian Ocean. So please do check it out. So these are 10-minute overviews. There's Essence there at the top. But if you're looking for ways that you can expand your team's training, this is where you need to go. So you'll figure out where the shows are going to be hosted, any potential cost implications to you as a business. This is also really relevant for product that's on the call. If you're looking to figure out where you're going to be investing your budget for next year, here you have a full 10-minute overview of all those different shows and the benefits that it'll make to you as a company.